Hi class, welcome to week 8, and for this week we'll be discussing um, the steps that led up to the project itself, and we'll be explaining the steps that I've taken to get to this point in the project and the rationale behind the steps that I've taken. So one of the first things that I determined was that we have to figure out what kind of software that we will need for a bike share program, and um, what will be a reasonable kind of software or program for this. And so Word, or would it be Adobe, or any kind of Java software or any kind of programming? What I found was the CRM was the best bet for something like this, and I'll discuss it more later on. But software like that would be great, and then just having an interface that will take inputs, and then also on top of that, having a third party to manage all the data required for the information systems. So once I kind of determined that we'll need like a Word, or some kind of application that will take the inputs from the users, and then it would go into the database and spit out information. I said, okay, well, the hardware we'll need will be like a keyboard or a display or a monitor or a touch screen, so that way bike share users can go to the islands or the locations um, where the bikes are at and be able to punch in the information. So together with the hardware, um, so Wi-Fi link or a WAN, um, with the VPN, and then with all the switches, they'll be able to access a database through the CRM to look up user information, account information, and so forth. Um, but for the hardware, that was pretty much summed up into one. So for the hardware, the user must be able to input their dates and look up their accounts as well. Um, but in addition to the software, API might be the key to this, so that way different applications can communicate with each other. It will also require some form of security to prevent vulnerabilities. If you look at the recent news, Capital One or Experian has been breached multiple times. So in order to ward off or prevent things like this to happen, two-way authentication will be key. It'll be implemented into the directives, the ConOps. The ConOps will be sent out to all users and program managers, or just managers in general, so that way procedures are followed. That way vulnerabilities and risk are minimized, so that way the database won't get breached. Another way that we can implement this program is to, or to safeguard this program, is to use a cloud database, so that all the information that's going into this program or this project for bike sharing will be stored in one location, and it will be safeguarded in a third party location, instead of having a hardware or a database farm to where anyone can hook up to it and then remove information. It just adds too many risks to it. So it'll be better to use the cloud services from a third party to mitigate those vulnerabilities at at the least possible scenarios. So that way that wouldn't affect too many users. If it were to be a breach, we could kind of troubleshoot down to one location and say, okay, it was here. But with a hardware or a database farm or one location, it could be from someone internal, external. It could be a virus or malware. It's just too many different variables. So the cloud will be the best bet to go when it comes to security through the ConOps. So once we have the ConOps set up, directives, um, we have a database set up for everybody, two authentications. The next move would be to set up a VPN, so that way the right people are getting access to the right database and to the web services provided by the bike share company. You don't want somebody stumbling across this website and then getting access to it by accident. We want the right people to have this information. So when people sign up for this, they'll be given a username, password, a direct link, and they'll be able to access the website because of the VPN. Um, and then through the VPN, they'll be able to access their account information. So that will help out a lot with security. Moving on though, um, once the hardware and software components are established, the next thing is to set up variables, objects, and lists to organize all the data coming in. So that way the applications and the software and the CRM can take the information and shoot it back out. And this information will be a lot of information to process, to categorize, to write in the codes for all the names, accounts, users, what bikes are in, what maintenance is coming due, weather. One application or one software piece that will help streamline this will be JSON. JSON will be the perfect kind of software that will be implemented to where all this information can be mitigated and controlled in one area and stored easily for the programmers. So that way they're not wasting thousands of hours making line by line, string by string, list by list. Where with JSON is it's kind of compact into one area, and then it's a lot easier for the programmers. So once we have that set up, we'll have the billing information, rental information, bike usage, weather information can be relayed back and forth through APIs. And APIs will take the information and relay it back and forth. So let's say a user goes into our application, they type in what bikes are available from this time and this time and this location. If they want to ride from downtown to the outskirts and back, what dates, how much it's going to cost. They can request that information or acquire it, and then APIs will transmit it down to our CRMs or to our database, and then it will give us information from there and relay it back to the user. And the user will see this display on our hardware saying, okay, the available bikes are here, we can do this and this, the weather's going to be like this, and this is what is going to be needed for that kind of bike share. And so using the APIs will be really, really key in the success of our programs when it comes to finding out information about different databases or what's available or when our account is due, just all around database information for the users, bikes, weather, but that's one of the last steps in there that we will really need to publish it. One thing I didn't go over was switches. You're gonna need switches, hardware-wise. You're gonna need managers, maintenance, and I think that might be it. I'm trying to really think of all the different things that you'll need to set up an island for a bike share program. That will let the system know when a bike is out, when it comes through, when it's not coming through, how long it's been out, when fees are due. But that's going to be managed by the JSON through the CRM, and then the database that's thrown in through the list, strings, and objects and variables. Once our manager puts in the information, inquires it, says, hey, when is this person due, or what accounts coming due, or what bikes are out, or what bikes are coming due for maintenance. All that would be pulled through JSON, and then it will be relayed back and forth with APIs and displayed on their monitors back at their workstations as well. But for this bike share program, that's going to be the structure of it overall. And there'll be some other parts into it, but those are the main components that you will need just to get it started. And then from there, you'll fine tune it and go from there. But I'm looking for some feedback. Let me know what you think, and then reply in the comments. Thank you.